In today's video, you're going to see me do something that I probably won't do again, and I know I haven't done to this point, but I'm actually going to build a pen from start to finish all the way through, and it's going to be a 45-degree segmented blank with curly mesquite and figured maple. And the pen kit is a stainless steel kit made here in the United States. It is not one that has coated like rhodium or gold or chrome. It is pure stainless steel, CNC cut here in the United States. It's made by Laser Lines. You can see it at laserlines.com, and it's called the Falcon kit. Fabulous kit, extremely close tolerances, much closer than any pen kit that you'll buy from any of our normal outlets. And the other thing that's special about this video is that I'm making this pen specifically for somebody. You know, in our social media outlets, be it Instagram, Facebook, or here at YouTube, we have followers, and then we have people that we're always exchanging comments with, and we get a sense that we know them and they're our friends, although we've never seen them or they live continents away or across the country. This pen is for one of my Instagram and my YouTube friends and followers. It's for a person that has a lot on their plate and does an amazing job with everything that's on their plate, and this person will know who it's for. And sometimes you just have to do things for friends. Before we get started though, when we get to the portion where the blank is ready to be turned, you're going to notice two things. One, my head's going to get in the way, and two, there's going to be a little shakiness. I didn't realize it, but two things are going on. I have a new overhead camera mount that's mounted over my lathe, and I didn't realize it. This first time I've used it, didn't realize it that it's not positioned exactly right. So I kind of got a little headshot in there. And also I've got a new lathe stand, and it apparently isn't as stable as it needs to be, as there's a little shaky. Apologize, those things are something I've got to work on this next week. So let's get started making this pen. We're going to make this Falcon pen out of a combination of bird's eye maple. It's going to be at one end of the blank, a 45-degree segment with a piece of 93/1000 aluminum, and then the other half will be a curly Texas mesquite. I'm going to cut them oversized. Overall, we only need a blank that's only about 2.5 inches long. So I'll cut them oversized, and then we'll cut our 45. Now we need to epoxy our piece of aluminum in between so that when we turn it, we've got that aluminum separator. I've got the piece cut. This is a 20 thousandths. I said 93, it's 20 thousandths. But first it needs to be scuffed up real good. That enhances the adhesion for the epoxy. And then, using a little denatured alcohol, we just clean off the aluminum dust and oils that may have come from our hands. This is our little clamping jig. Now we're ready to mix our epoxy. Need to make sure it's mixed thoroughly. Put it on our wooden pieces first. Then on our 40 or piece of aluminum. This keeps it lined up on the long side. Now we just put a clamp on it to pull it together. Push down on it. As you tighten this clamp, it tries to lift a little, so you have to make sure everything. Okay, our epoxy has dried. Take it out of our jig, out of our clamps. Can get it ready to drill now. Our tube will sit in there, so I'm going to mark it quite a bit longer to allow for drilling and reduce the potential of any blowout. Got it marked. Now we can trim it. Mark the center so that we can drill it. And give ourselves just a little bit of a starter hole. Now we can drill it. Constantly checking for heat buildup on the bit. This is denatured alcohol on a paper towel. Heat buildup on that bit between the maple, which is hard, and the aluminum sliver. The aluminum is an excellent conductor of heat, and if the bit gets too hot, it'll break the epoxy down and it'll separate our segment. If you think about it, aluminum is used in the radiator of your car to transfer heat. They use aluminum in aerospace industry, heat exchangers for jet engines. So aluminum is an excellent resource for heat transfer. So you have to keep this bit cool, and denatured alcohol will help flash that heat off pretty quickly. You could use water. I use water on acrylics, but on wood I don't like to use water because it makes the grain swell. So also it's important to have a very sharp bit when you're drilling a segment with aluminum. We just hit our aluminum. You just can't get in a hurry. Some of these segmented blanks, it's like an artist. Depends on what you do with your blank. Anybody can drill a hole in a piece of wood, but when you add multiple species and when you add aluminum to it, then you've turned it into a little different animal. So it has to stay cool. Takes patience to drill segmented blanks. Let it cool a sec. Mesquite's not quite as hard as the maple, but it's hard on the tools. It's got like a lot of sand. Mesquite trees are scavenger kind of trees. They'll pull all kinds of stuff into their roots as they pull moisture. So they're pretty tough on the tools. Okay. We're ready to glue the tube in. I'm going to glue it in this way, flush, and then I'll trim it to the right length. So first of all, our epoxy. I like to use 2-part epoxy because I've never had a failure using 2-part epoxy in segmented. When I say that, I mean a failure after the pen was made. It's never come apart on me. Normally I would rough these tubes up, but this particular pen kit, this Falcon kit, the tube comes pre-scuffed. A little denatured alcohol to keep glue from getting back to the inside. For anybody that didn't know or hadn't picked up, denatured alcohol will cut or clean 2-part epoxy. There we go. Just have to let it dry. By the way, the tube for this Falcon kit, it's a single tube kit. It's 364 thousandths in diameter. I drilled with a 368 thousandths or a lettered bit, a U bit. See right here, 368 thousandths U bit. Didn't leave a lot of clearance, but it was plenty. Let the epoxy dry. We'll come back and we'll trim it and start turning it. Got it marked here to trim to the proper tube length, so I'm going to trim it here on the bandsaw with my sled, and then we'll square it up with a sander. Going to square it up. My technique for this is set of Harbor Freight transfer punches, and I pick the right size for the appropriate tube, slip it on there, and then I have this disc that I made that's got a piece of aluminum on this side, and it runs true, runs 90 degrees to this mandrel, and I just use sticky back 60 grit paper on it, and it does a fine job. You can see here it takes it down perfectly level with the end of the tubes. Now we can just round the corners off a little bit and on the bandsaw, and we'll be ready to turn this. Now I'm just going to knock some of the corners off on the bandsaw so that it's not so much work on the lathe. Okay, we'll just knock some of the corners off so it'd be easier to turn. Put that down to protect my lathe. Now I'm gonna micromesh it. I'm gonna start at 1800 grit and go to 6000. Last one. Little polish. Well, I hope this video so far has held your interest. And before we assemble the pan, I'd like to thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in, and ask that you do what I've been calling LLS. Leave us a comment, like our video, and subscribe if you're a first-time viewer. We really appreciate you watching, and we appreciate the comments. So ask you to indulge us and interact with us. And all my social media contacts will be listed down below in the description, my Instagram, my Facebook, and my website. So, now, let's finish the assembly of this pen, and thanks for watching. Okay, I'm going to start assembling this, and I usually use a pen press, but the tolerances are so tight on these stainless steel Falcon kits that you can't be off at all as far as any alignment. So I'm using my drill press to press this in. One of the things that was so hard about that is the way I've got this segmented, and I wanted the clip to run in the middle of the segment, and there's a little notch in the stainless steel band that the clip has to set in, and it's kind of difficult to line that up. That's why you only get one shot, unlike some pen kits where you can knock it out. These tolerances are so close that you get one shot at it. And now for the bottom. Again, the drill press works nice because there's drill holes in the base plate, and I can set it in it so that it won't damage it. Okay, very good. Now to complete it, the refill goes in, and the transmission screws in from the top. And the cap presses down.